Effort scales poorly, but leverage compounds. And companies that understand the difference are going to dominate in the AI era. And I really do mean that. Welcome to Dataliction Essentials. My name is John. This particular episode is for those leaders out there who are trying to figure out how AI actually fits into their business and not as a gadget. It's kind of a fun gadget, but not as the newest tool on the tech stack, but really something deeper that changes how the work itself can scale. Because the biggest mistake that I'm seeing right now is leaders thinking that AI is like another productivity shortcut, but honestly, in reality, it's much closer to an engine that can power an entirely new way of operating. So there's a simple idea that captures this shift. Effort scales poorly, but leverage compounds, just like I opened up with. Think about trying to move a giant rock. I love giant rocks. My wife knows this, my family. You can push it harder. You can recruit more people, work longer hours, and maybe eventually you will move that giant rock a little bit. That's called effort and strength. But give someone long enough of a lever, like a big old stick, and suddenly the math starts changing. That same person can move something that previously required 10 people. You see where we're going here? The force multiplies, the impact compounds. That's leverage. So for decades, most businesses scaled through effort. If you wanted to grow, you hired more people, created more roles, added more meetings, added more systems, tried to manage the complexity. Okay, we've seen that. It has worked. It still maybe can. But AI introduces a very different set of possibilities. Instead of simply adding more effort, organizations can begin compounding leverage. So let me unpack that somewhat, and I'll explain what I mean. The key mental shift here is to stop thinking about AI as a tool. It's not just some chatbot. Start thinking about it as an engine, a tool that solves tasks, an engine that drives systems. When leaders treat AI like a tool, the conversation stays pretty shallow. I'm going to be honest. Which chatbot should we subscribe to, or an LLM or whatever? Which AI feature should we turn on? Which automation can add to this workflow? But when AI becomes an engine, the conversation changes entirely. Now the question becomes, how does the entire system of the business operate perhaps differently when intelligence, automation, and language are all embedded into the foundation of how work gets done? So to understand why that matters, it helps to look at a similar technological shift that we've all lived through. I love using proxy history. The internet. Okay. Yes. The internet. I've used this before. When it appeared, most people didn't really understand what it was, similar to AI. It was just the invisible network of data and communication running underneath everything. I still remember the first time I used the internet. On its own, it wasn't particularly useful, but what made it useful are the things built on top of it. Websites, applications, platforms, those were the visible layer that allowed people to interact with the internet in a meaningful way. So AI works the same way. AI itself is not the spreadsheet, the CRM, the email platform, or the document editor. AI is the underlying intelligence, kind of the code that can power those things. And that distinction really, really matters because it changes how leaders should approach implementation. For decades, companies have bought software that reshaped their business around the software. Maybe you've done it. I know I've done it. The CRM dictated the sales process. The support platform dictated the customer service workflow. The marketing software dictated how campaigns were run. Are you seeing where we're going here? Businesses adapted themselves to the tools they purchased. But AI opens the door to the opposite model. Instead of forcing your business to conform into a software, you can begin to shape a software around your business. So that's what I mean when I say that that's where leverage starts to compound. Now, there is a trap here. Of course, there's a trap, John. Yes, there is a trap here. A lot of leaders will fall into the trap where they start trying to automate the painful parts of their business. Okay. It sounds reasonable at first, but let's unpack it. Something in the process feels slow or inefficient, so they look for a tool to fix that one piece. The instinct, it makes sense. It's understandable. I have done it, but sometimes the real issue isn't the broken step in the process. Sometimes the entire process needs to be reconsidered. For years, companies have layered tools on top of tools on top of tools, a CRM here, a marketing automation platform here, a customer support platform. You're seeing kind of the stack. Each system does solve a problem, but over time, the stack becomes complex and very fragmented in terms of data, which is very hard for your visibility and be able to make good decisions. AI creates an opportunity to step back and ask a much bigger question, much better question. Instead of asking how to automate one step, leaders can ask whether the entire workflow still makes sense, not for who you are, but what you are doing, how you're doing it, because automating a broken process doesn't fix it. It just breaks it faster. If a process is inefficient, automation accelerates the inefficiency. Are you seeing how we're kind of putting all the math together here? So before racing toward automation, leaders need to be clear on something much more fundamental. What value does the business actually create? What makes you special? Why do customers choose you instead of your competitors? What outcomes are they hiring you to deliver? Once that value is clear, you can reverse engineer the process that produces your value. And then AI can become the engine that helps your organizations deliver that value faster, better, and more consistently. You see what we're doing here? So here's another reality that leaders really do need to accept. You're not going to figure out the perfect system before you start. Ooh, that is a scary thought for a lot of engineers out there. Maybe some creatives are okay, but there's always the temptation to wait until everything is mapped out before building something new, before launching an automation, creating a platform, before experimenting with AI. But perfection rarely exists at the starting line. Very rarely. We learn by building. We learn by testing, and we learn by discovering the flaws along the way. It's a little bit like renovating a house. I've done this. I love doing renovations at home. Kind of love. It's like love and hate. You can research the project, plan the layout, and try to anticipate what's behind those walls. But the moment you start tearing into the structure, you discover things you just could not have known, that you did not expect. Pipes maybe in a little bit of a different wrong spot. Wiring just doesn't make sense. Structural quirks are hidden behind all that drywall. The mess is part of the process. And the same thing happens when organizations start redesigning how they operate. When you begin building better systems, the systems are better, you uncover problems that were probably invisible before. It's not that they didn't exist, you just didn't see it behind that wall. And that's exactly why leadership matters so much during moments like this. Because when organizations start changing systems, there are three things that leaders really have to keep an eye on: the product, the process, and the people. The product is the value that you're delivering to your customers. Could be a service, could be a product, but the product, okay, delivered to customers. The process is how that value is created and delivered. And then the people are the ones that work to keep everything moving. All three, the product, the process, and the people, all three matter. But when organizations move through change, the most important one to protect is the people. When a team is aligned, okay, straight up aligned around a clear vision, they can solve problems together, and they do a great job when they're aligned. They can improve processes together. They can refine the product, that value that you're delivering together. But if the people lose trust in the direction of the organization, the leader, even the best strategy will struggle to survive. So, as leaders start to explore what AI, what AI makes possible, the goal isn't simply to automate faster or to add more tools. The real goal is to rethink how leverage, remember the leverage, moving the big rock, works inside the business, to stop relying solely on effort, everybody push it together, but to start building new systems of leverage where it compounds over time. Because the organizations that win in the AI era will not necessarily be the ones with the most employees at the longest hours. They're going to be the ones that understand how to design systems where intelligence, automation, and human creativity all work together. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dataliction Essentials. If you, as a leader or anyone on your team, have ever wondered whether someone at your organization, maybe a lot of people, are already using AI, or if you need help getting your AI policy started, to keep you guys safe, we've actually built something to help. Yes, head over to dataliction.app, sign up for free. That's right. Okay, no strings attached. You can very quickly, take a survey to help you generate a policy tailored around your organization to get you started. You can even survey your team to produce a full AI usage report with some actionable insights on how to improve both your economics and the security of your team's AI usage. It's completely free, designed for leaders just like you to help support your teams as they grow so you can grow with them. Y'all grow together into the future. So go ahead and check it out today at dataliction.app.